Just a quick video here about the application for this FastenMaster deck frame coating. Shout out to Max, FastenMaster sales rep, hooking me up with that. We're going to test a couple different things with this frame coating. Most of you guys have seen before, I tape all my joists. Pretty big proponent of that. We live in a rainforest, technically, over 100 inches of rain a year. Can really take a beating on your deck framing. So the major places that we tape are the top of posts, deck joists, and we're gonna use this to cover as a band board. We separate our band from our house with tape to prevent any moisture intrusion. So these are the couple ways we're going to test how easy it is to roll this on with a roller and gang, and putting all these joists in a gang together, all stacked side by side. We're going to see how quickly it dries. It's not too warm today, probably in the 70s with pretty high humidity. So it says 20-minute dry time. We're going to test that out. I think it will perform probably even a little bit better than that, but we'll see. So here we go. Okay, that took less than a minute. I did have a time lapse going, but closed the truck door and knocked the phone over. So, oops, rookie mistake. But this took very little time to put on. Went on very quickly. It's pretty viscous. It's not, doesn't drip, see, very much, which is huge. Obviously you don't want to make a huge mess with this on a job site. Used some black gloves just to keep it off my hands, make cleanup a little bit easier. Probably the hardest part is that roller is probably going to be shot, which, okay, less than $2 on a roller as far as the roller cover, not a huge deal. But this has now been drying for 3 minutes, and let's test this out. It's a little tacky with the glove on. Let's switch and see if anything comes off on my finger after 3 minutes. Press down pretty hard. You can see a couple black spots, but that's 3 minutes in partial sun and 70-degree weather and humidity. And it's pretty tacked up already. It's a little wet right there. But even then, you know, you're not crying if you get that on your hands after 3 minutes. I did go back over twice here just to make sure we got a thorough coat. So this one's still a little more wet. But yeah, drying quickly. Thoroughly impressed. 6 minutes later, still slightly tacky. Nothing's coming off on my fingers on the top of this post. This is a factory end, by the way. There's no cut on that, so it's probably going to be the quickest drying, I would expect. Then you have this over here. Nothing coming off. That's again after just 6 minutes. It has been 11 minutes since rolled this on, and I'd say if we were on the job site, we'd be installing this. It's still got a slight tack to it that you can feel on your fingers, but it's not coming off on my hand. It's not going to come off on your hands when you're handling it. This, like I said, got 2 coats. I rolled on 2 coats right away. You got just a smidge coming off, so that's getting installed. So obviously you're not throwing your joists on and you're decking within, 20 minutes of each other. So 11 minutes later, better than advertised. Granted, now we're in basically full sun, 72 degrees, but this is at least 50% of the year for us, if not more, is going to be this temperature or higher. So we're right in optimal conditions. Test number 2 in the works. Working on soaking some boards, seeing how well it does. As anybody that does this for a living knows, pressure treated normally comes wet. So trying to figure out how long we need to wait, let this sit out and dry in the sun, or can we put it on right away on a wet pressure treated, and are we good to go? So all my wood pile over there, pulled some stuff out. It's all been sitting in the sun, so I have to bring it back to factory conditions. Quick thoughts here on this deck frame coating. Max from FastenMaster hooked me up with a sample. Was very quick to apply, super easy. Obviously, this is a paint roller, mini roller. Took 11 minutes for me to be completely fine with installing this, ready to install it. They advertised 20 minutes. It's 70-ish degrees, sunny, and humid today. Went very quickly. So, but this is dry wood. We're gonna test it on wet wood in just a minute. You'll see those, but quick results. I'll throw a little bit longer review up on YouTube, although it's not gonna be pretty. Okay, had this wood soaking in here for probably 10 minutes in the water. It's still wet on the surface. You can see that's the major part that I'm trying to test. Bucket full of water. Testing this FastenMaster deck frame coating on wet wood, because we all know most wood, when it comes from the lumberyard, most pressure treated wood is going to be wet. So here we go. Already tried it dry. Works great on that. First initial thoughts after having rolled it onto the dry wood, now the wet wood. It is, I mean, literally just finished rolling it. Not super great cameraman, as you can tell. So this part of the wood was wet. You can see right there where it transitions to dry. This part of the wood was dry. So I'm kind of testing both right here, seeing the drying time difference. Obviously the wet wood, you can see there's like no streaks over on this side. It's streaked over here. Curious how that's going to dry. But here we go. It has been 20 minutes. As advertised, this should be dry. The wood still feels some moisture in there from soaking it. Nothing's coming off on the hands. There. Okay, you can see this is where the wood was wet. This is where it was dry. I think you can see the difference. You know, you can see that line right there. It doesn't stick quite as well, but I don't know that I would be totally upset with throwing this on like this. It's going to do 99% of the work that this would do if it's dry. So I don't think I would be incredibly concerned about that personally, you know, with what we're doing. But it is something I'll probably think about when I'm pulling out wood to get it ready to frame. Probably try and get it in the sun for a few minutes, dry out. But as far as the difference between this and tape will not stick if there's that kind of water on it. So the fact that this stuck ready to go in 20 minutes, you know, is huge, because I think I've said this already, but we live in a rainforest. We get a lot of rain. So the fact that we could apply this while it's wet, big deal.